Okay. Hello. I think I'm becoming more familiar with Zoom features yet again because it's not like Zoom haunted my life when I started grad school. Um, I personally don't find the purpose in continuously introducing myself over and over again. To me, it's personally like running my nails on a classic, not a white, on a classic chalkboard back from the early 90s, 2000s. And that's pretty painful. For the sake of humanity and commonality and mannerisms, I will continue to do so because I'm just another human on this earth. My name is Cosette, and I am here on this February 13th of 2025. Not in San Francisco. I think that's San Fran, right? I don't know. I don't think I've been. Sure. In my dreams, sure, but um, you know, these bridges in general terrify me because I've had nightmares of um falling over, my car taking like a nosedive into the water. For the most part, I think I've usually escaped. I don't think I'm necessarily, you know, in a dream, but yeah, I guess I'm rather resilient in my dreams too. If anything, I'm more like I have more powers. Well, I also can recognize when I'm dreaming. I used to have a lot of sleep paralysis back then, and that's so scary. Um, which dreams is also something else I would love to cover because sleep is not very well understood or studied. Or well, it's studied. We claim to know things about it, but I was actually told by one of my former friends or mom of a former friend mom. I don't know how to state that. That yeah, sleep is just heavily misunderstood. And thanks to her, it kind of opened up my eye when it comes to understanding sleep. Um, so one moment. For the purpose of today's video, I attempted to record, I think 2 nights ago, and for one, I learned I will probably not record at night. I like to be at bed, like not doing something that requires a lot of like cognitive effort. And if I notice that I am thinking way too hard, I will get red and mad and sweat, and it's not worth it. And I'm pretty refreshed. Yesterday was a snow moon, which is pretty cool. Um, I'm a moon child. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that. I'm a Cancer. And so, I think in general too, something else that's not very well understood is the effects of the moon not just on the ocean, and like the Earth's gravitational pull and like the coordinates and longitudes and all that stuff, but it clearly has an effect on us. In a lot of shows and stuff, ERs are typically most busy when it comes to full moons. People joke about it, saying that like all the crazies come out. No, it's not that all the crazies come out. It's more so just it clearly impacts us, our human nature, and other components. And so you should definitely read up on what the snow moon is. I'll probably also make another video about that. It's kind of beautiful. If you noticed, the moon was very bright yesterday, and I think it has something to do, I don't know if I remember too much, but like with wolf packs. Well, it was a wolf moon in January, and then this time around it was a snow moon. And as I think on the news they also like projected like this cold front coming in and it's going to be a lot colder than usual. And the snow moon usually let humans or the populace know it's going to be really really cold. Like usually the snow moon, excuse me, uh kind of came to be when it was actually like breaking record cold temperatures. So hopefully everyone that's up there is doing all right and they're not digging too much. Um, but to actually tap into what I am going to talk about today, um, I the video didn't like it didn't save and all that stuff. So it's definitely a sign like, hey, don't do things when you're not ready. Don't force it ever, please. Um, and so I'm ready today. And yeah, one day before Valentine's Day. Um, but I'm feeling refreshed and I hope that everyone's hanging in. It always gets hectic when a lot of holidays approaches, and yeah, that makes me nervous too. So, let me go ahead and share my screen. I actually have, oh yeah, the reason I'm sharing my screen is because I, excuse me, have a presentation today, and I'm so excited to just share more knowledge with everyone. Am I recording? Yes, I am. And I hope that we can all learn something. And so, if you know me, you know I'm a hardcore Canva fan. Anything like technology wise, um, PowerPoint, all that. I like heavily invested in like, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like when I had no business, like I don't know. I've just always liked the computer. It was something I really didn't understand, but I was so determined to figure it out. And so I did a lot of coding, like when MySpace was around, and like people would pay me to edit their profiles and stuff like that. And MySpace isn't around anymore, but I have pretty cool stuff, codes. I don't even know how I learned them, but and I made like a slight little business there in middle school out of my talents. Um, Anyways, MySpace isn't around anymore, but what I'm trying to tell you is I love to design things, whether it's like physical is not my strength, but digital, yeah, I can do that. I can prepare you something very cool on the digital realm if you allow me to. So the title of my slideshow is Living in a Neurotypical World with Exceptionalities. What is autism? What is giftedness? I wish this was live so that I can ask people what their thoughts are. Um, Maybe we could all do like a KWL chart, like what do you know, what do you want to know, and what did you learn? Um, but yeah, I know this isn't live, so yeah, that's the title. So on the agenda, I did not get rid of this because it's information and I was a little too lazy and I just didn't feel like getting rid of it. But take this information to the left as it resonates or if you need to, if you're making your own presentation. So there's four topics we're covering. The first one being the neurotypical world. The second one being neurodiversity, third, autism, fourth, non-typical versus typical. The word, the verbiage, a bit more than just the word, because a word is more than a word if you really think about it. So, on page one, oh wait, this is page three. What does neurotypical even mean? I also left this here because if I don't leave things to remind myself what to talk about, I'll be rambling for at least 2 hours and nobody wants that. So, um, my take on neurotypicality. I like to divide words when they're large and when I don't understand them or when I'm explaining them to someone. Because again, a word is more than just a word. Words are combined. Words are either singular. What's the word that's not singular? A compound word? A compound word. There's a lot of sounds in them. Like you got to think about not just the dictation, is it the syntax? It's not just the syntax, it's the phonemes. Phonemes. Yes, you got to think about the sounds. Um, Everyone's going to interpret those sounds differently. Um, Anyways, so if I split the word neurotypical in half, I have neuro and then I have typical. So neuro refers to neurology. Neurology is the study of like the more I don't know, my word is like I don't know how to tell you. Neurology is not psychology. Neurology is more than psychology. Neurology is like the chemicals and all that stuff that's involved with the brain, and it's like what kind of makes it's a study of like, I don't know what I'm saying, but neurology is complex. Human behavior is complex. I think neurology can help kind of justify, possibly. I don't know that justify is the right word, but it can help explain. There you go. It can help explain. I don't know. Hmm. It can help explain human behavior. So, anyways, that's neuro. And then typical means like ordinary, common, what we see in everyday life. So, to me, neurotypical means average. An average, I don't want to say average Joe, but yeah, an average Joe. However, I think we need to be careful when we use the word average because we're putting a negative, is it connotation or denote? We're applying a negative meaning to it because it's not terrible to be average. Sometimes I wish like, yeah, that I that my thoughts wouldn't spiral, and sometimes I wish I could just live in that average aspect. And everyone has an average range. Somehow, like again, the brain is complex. There's not just one way of looking at intelligence. If you've ever taken those personality or intelligence inventories, like, excuse me, there's a lot more to intelligence than what everyone like prescribes intelligence to be. Um, and um, that coffee is really good, so I lost my train of thought. My taste buds are dancing. Um, yeah, maybe it means I don't have anything else to say. The reason I'm mentioning neurotypicality is because when we talk about autism and giftedness and other exceptionalities, and I like to call them exceptionalities because um, to me, the word disability is a little bit harsh. I don't see it as something bad. It's more so you're taking away from us by saying this person has a disability. And also, whenever you're speaking about someone with a disability, you want to describe the person first, I think, from what I remember. Like, for example, me, I have multiple sclerosis. If you were to say that, or let's talk about Jasper. Jasper is a healthy dog. Actually, he did have a heart murmur, and hopefully it's okay. But um, I'm not saying a heart murmur is a disability. It could be something bad if it's not taken care of. But what I would do to describe his heart murmur is say, Jasper has a heart murmur. I wouldn't say heart murmur has Jasper or the heart murmur dog. Like, that is so terrible. Hello, I'm a human. He is a dog. We have a name. And yes, we have something, doesn't have us, but we learn to live with it. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to address neurotypicality. It can be a little frustrating, but nothing wrong with neurotypicality. We're all typical in some way, shape, or form, but we all also, email, we all also fall on the spectrum somehow, whether it's literally on the spectrum or that we have autistic like characteristics. Um, okay, so autism. What is autism? I wish, again, that I don't know, feel free to comment if you care to comment. Um, I like to learn, so if anyone can help broaden my thoughts on autism, um, that'd be really cool because perspective, super important, and I like to absorb everything. Um, so autism, the way I see it, is also very complex, just as complex as us humans, just as complex as our behavior, as our brain, as our quirks, as our personalities, as the environment. Um, it's a neurological, is it? I don't know. Let's Google it because I forget. Neurodevelopmental. It is a, I need to take a breath. Sometimes I forget to breathe, and I'm reminded, are you breathing? That feels nice. It's just when I get really excited, I'm like, you know? Um, so let me give you the Google definition. Okay, there you go. Autism spectrum disorder, otherwise known as ASD, is a developmental neurobiological condition characterized by, I am not breathing, persistent challenges in social communication, that being the biggest one, restricted interests, and repetitive behaviors. And I'll make another video on the key features if interested. If not, whatever, you can Google it. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's the definition. I can move on. See, this is going a lot more smooth because I how much more do I have left? Okay, cool. This one's gonna be a big one. Hopefully I don't go off on too many tangents. Um, my nose always gets itchy when I talk, and I can't tell if that's like anxiousness or because I don't want people looking at my face and like whatever. No one's necessarily looking at me right now. But yeah, I would say it's anxiety. I don't know. Like, don't look at me. Here's my other half of my face. Just don't look at the eyes. Anyways, so as the definition addressed, oh man, I am so sorry. Neurotypicality versus being typical. Um, So usually social communication is one of the biggest like determining factors of someone potentially being on the spectrum, like impaired social communication. Um, and so the way it's diagnosed, like there's two big umbrellas. So on the left here, I have social communication right over here. And then on the right, I have RRBs, which is an acronym for restricted. I thought I wrote it down on my paper here. Restricted RRBS. It's not that. RRBS. That's biology. I'm not talking. Well, I'm talking. Okay. Restricted and repetitive behaviors in autism spectrum disorder. That's what RRBS is. And so, there's three little, is it criterias or characteristics? I think these two are criterias, and then these three are characteristics. I don't know. It's a word. It's one of those words. But these three are found under social communication, and these four are found in RRBS. So let's talk about social communication first. The first one being social reciprocity. So an individual with autism has difficulties with social reciprocity. The biggest thing being, and you constantly hear this like in the school system, does this student make eye contact? Or, oh, Johnny isn't making eye contact with me. Well, what purpose does eye contact actually serve? It's like, unless you are my mother, my lover, my friend, a professor, why do I need to look at you? Are you telling me something interesting? If you're not telling me something interesting, I probably won't look at you. I probably won't even pay attention to the conversation. Or I could be very much in tune to what someone is saying. And like, because I'm processing it, I cannot look at you. But also there's like the whole other cultural aspect to it. In some cultures, like it's actually very disrespectful to look at your caregiver's eyes, for example, if you're getting in trouble. Like they typically tell you like, don't look me in the eyes, it's disrespectful. So it's all very confusing when we're trying to figure out like how to operate in the typical world. And so, yeah, I got a little carried away. Eye contact. Oh, actually, no, sorry. See okay, what I just mentioned was more so towards like nonverbal cues. I apologize. But when it comes to social reciprocity, like the ability to like withhold, like the ability to have like a conversation with someone, it's impaired. Either someone with autism has a hard time starting a conversation, figuring out when to jump in, um, or um, I don't know, having a conversation is a huge deal. Like it's scary. You have to think about what to say. Um, when is it appropriate to jump in? Is this person going to hear me? Or if I say something and someone doesn't hear me, like personally, I get turned off or pissed off, and I'm just like, ugh, I just like I should have not opened my mouth. I should have not shared my thoughts. Like, how dare you? But also, just don't take things personally. So cool. I covered one and two. And then the third one is relationships, which is typically something very blurry. I guess I'll provide some examples. Personally, for me, I've always had a hard time understanding like what's a friendship, what's a relationship, like a romantic relationship. I mean, like, I know what a romantic relationship is and what a friendship is based off of experiences, but they haven't always been the greatest because, I mean, you can't learn in life unless you're always going to meet that, whether it's a lover or friend, you will always, or even a family member, you will always meet that one person that will remind you or teach you what you don't want for you later on in life. And unfortunately, some people either really hurt you in the process or you hurt them or you both hurt each other. And it's just like a whole mess. But hopefully, some people can end things like amicably. Is that the word? Like reasonably. But sometimes, like, I mean, personally, for me, like, it's like if it didn't work, it didn't work. Again, whether it's a relationship or a friend, like, you appreciate the lessons you took, the time you shared, and then you just turn the page. Because then you just hurt each other. And what's the point of holding on to something that doesn't serve you any purpose if it's not elevating you? Um, Also, because of this difficulties with relationships, um, primarily women who are on the autism spectrum, they tend to blend in. Actually, most women on the autism spectrum disorder blend in because number one, autism is very you can easily point it out in males. But when it comes to females, we learn the art of masking, um, and camouflaging because um we want to fit in, and being a woman isn't the easiest thing. I think it's pretty awesome, but it's not the easiest thing when there's sharks and snakes all around you. So that's my take on these three right here. So moving on to RRBs, we have regulating behaviors, resistance to change, interest and ability, and sensory sensitivities. So, okay, so these four are usually frontal lobe sort of like features, things that a lot of like, okay, so I don't know how to word this. A lot of these things found underneath RRBs is to help soothe the mind of one who is neurodiverse. We all need self-soothing in some way, shape, or form, whether you light a candle, you go lay down, you take a bath. Everyone here needs to regulate their nervous system somehow. There's no doubt about that. In a person with autism, it might look weird. It could look weird. Well, I don't, anyways. Um, so let's see. Some examples of regulating behaviors. Um, when I was little, I would read right next to my grandpa while he was watching TV. And actually I'm actually doing this right now, but I tend to like rock back and forth. Or I mean, I guess I'm like scratching my non-existent like beard or I pretend that like it's just weird things. Um yeah. So one time I was in the car with her, we were on the way to like Naples or something, and I was just going like this while reading my book, and she was like, Niña, ¿qué te pasa a ti? Like, just sit still. And I was like, oh, it's actually helping me concentrate, but it made her nervous. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta be careful with my rocking. Sometimes like during meetings and stuff, I've had to like catch myself like, whoa, you're rocking way too much. Like, chill out. Don't be too obvious. Don't give yourself away. Again, this goes back to camouflaging and masking. All right. So 5, resistance to change. Schedules are very important in general, I think for any human, whether you have autism or not. It helps give you the direction in life. A direction, multiple directions. It helps you get things done. Um, and so if you throw a wrench in there, if you say, hey, today we're gonna have mashed potatoes and not baked potatoes. I hate mashed potatoes. I don't like creamy things. Which sensory sensitivity? Oh, it's 7. Ooh, I do not do mashed potatoes. I will throw an internal fit or I will just not eat at all. Like I want my baked potato. I don't want mashed potatoes. But um yeah, I don't know. That's all I have for resistance to change. Feel free to throw in like some examples, and I think everyone has something to say if they want to. So number 6 is interest and ability. So these interests are typically very they could seem restricted, I guess, and repetitive because um like for example, Disney adults. I don't know if you've heard of that. Well, honestly, like a lot of us Gen Z and millennials, like we're all pretty traumatized. And so everyone's trying to heal their inner child. And so there's a lot of us that we just go to Disney and we want to watch Disney movies and we want to soothe all the ache that we experienced growing up. Nothing wrong with that at all. If you like Disney, you like Disney. Like, don't judge people. But other than that, like I have met some a coworker or I've met people with autism who um they really like Disney. But some people are just awesome with their skills because they like remember lines and like every like specific intimate detail about a Disney film or music tracks and all that stuff. And it's like it blows my mind away. And I think when you meet someone like that, you should cherish that, not make it like not think they're weird. They're not weird. Celebrate the difference. All right. I'm getting a little tired of talking. The last one is sensory sensitivities, and I kind of gave you the example with like mashed potatoes. Another example I can provide is like with clothing, texture, certain textures, like rough textures. Some people could respond well to rough textures, bumpy textures. Some people could actually not like that, or they could also maybe like not like water or like water a lot. Um, clothing tags. I personally rip them off, and that's like for me that's been present since I was little. Um, so that's that. I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of talking as per usual. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm not comfortable with providing my email quite yet. I have to figure that out. But you can comment on this, and if you follow me on other outlets, you can also do that, and I will happily respond. And I am happy to take feedback and learn from stop share from you as well. Once again, it is February 13th. Now it's 10:44. I think I started at 10:14. Oh my gosh, this is 30 minutes. 20 minutes. Sorry. Um, yeah. I hope everyone has a great rest of the day. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.